In this video, what I want to do is I want to teach you the basics of how to actually increase your word count in your standard essay. So this isn't the first video that you should be watching. Actually, you should be watching this video after you've studied the basics of the writing section. So if you haven't seen or studied step 1, step 2, kind of the first 2 weeks of the program, first 2 practice tests, worked on it a little bit yourself, this video is probably a little too ahead. I want you guys to learn those basics. And if after watching that you still have trouble getting your word count up to 400 to 500, as you now know you should, then that's when this video will come in handy. And come in handy means become useful. So this is a standard body paragraph, and this is from a student that submitted an essay on our forum. And I chose it because it's pretty normal. It's what I usually see in the 3rd week for students who do need a little bit more specific help to master the body paragraphs and the whole essay a little bit more. So you'll see that this body paragraph is about 118 words. So that means we can expect about, from the 2 body paragraphs, about 220 to 240 words. We also need an introduction and a conclusion, so this is going to be about a 300 to 325 word essay, maybe 350. So really standard stuff here. And as you guys know, 350 is a good minimum, but a minimum is going to get you 21 to 23 out of 30 unless you're writing exceptionally well. And I included in the red here to show you a couple of spelling mistakes. And again, this is average. You know, we all make mistakes when we don't monitor our spelling, which is fantastic because this student didn't cheat, didn't kind of copy and paste an essay that they did in Microsoft Word or whatever it may be and change their actual spelling. So that's what I want you to always work with so you can get a realistic idea of where your mistakes are. Now, you guys already know that we have review videos on improving spelling, so that's what I'd recommend to the student first. And then the second thing that I would say is what you want to do is make sure that you realize that this is not bad, this 118 words, but it's a minimum, so we got to exceed it. How are we going to do that? First, we got to remember the basics. You know that when you create a body paragraph, we have 4 steps that we've learned. A lot of students learn those steps, but they don't apply them. So step 1 is to simply and clearly state your reason. Step 2 is to explain a general connection between the reason and the answer. And then step 3 is to give your detailed example. And then step 4 is to give a short concluding statement that repeats the idea of the reason. Repeats the idea of the answer, not the reason. So I'm going to make that clear to you as we go through this paragraph, let you know what's missing, what's there. And I'm also going to give you, I'm not going to explain this now, but I'm going to give you some tips on exactly what you have to do to make sure that you are going to produce a very strong and very big body paragraph. So let's go ahead and read it together. And just to give you a concept, this essay was answering a question on what do you think are the important characteristics of a coworker, someone you work with. And this body paragraph supports the idea of why you want someone who's professional, someone who's knowledgeable. So let's go ahead and read it together. And the first thing that I'm looking for to evaluate this is the reason. Clear, simple statement. So we read it. First, I definitely will like to work with someone professional who knows what to do and when to do it. So again, this was characteristics of a good coworker. First characteristic is professional. So even though it's not a reason, it satisfies that point, making the point and the idea of the paragraph clear. We're going to discuss why professionalism in a coworker is important. Now I want a general connection. Why is professionalism necessarily a good thing for a coworker? And this actually comes to a concept that I think is important that we're going to talk about later, but let's see how the student did it. In fact, your team's work is part of your image. Okay, so that's not really telling me the connection between professionalism and why that's important in a coworker. You can maybe connect that a little bit more because you can say your image is important and when you work, and if your coworker is not professional, then they will not have a good idea or they will not do well to help you improve your image. So, we want that connection. Reference the idea. How is professionalism actually something that you want in a coworker? Through image. So you want to repeat those ideas a little bit. So not bad for the second step. It could be a bit stronger. And if we made it a bit stronger, that would be an extra few words right there. So already we're improving our word count by making sure we're following the structure clearly. Now for the important part, the example. For example, when working with customers, a rude and unprofessional worker will affect the overall experience the customer will have. Therefore, regardless who was the person performing that specific action, the review of that customer's to his shopping experience will be negative and will backfire the whole team. Okay, so we get a detailed point about how someone who's unprofessional, right, is going to negatively affect the customer's experience, and that customer is going to hate everybody on the working team. In addition, when you work with someone who knows what to do, will ask less questions that will distract you and affect your performance. So as you guys probably recognize, this is fine. This is not a bad sentence. It says in addition. But this sentence is not connected with this idea. So this is kind of like, oh, I ran out of things to say. I got to say more. We're going off topic. So not bad, but this sentence strays away from the focus of the paragraph in the way that we're learning to create it. And we can definitely make this much bigger and stronger. So we do have step 3, but this is usually where you need to increase the word count. And that's where I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Then we go to step 4. As you can see, a coworker that isn't professional will waste your time. Now, this has nothing to do with anything that we've learned so far. So make sure that you are always connected. How are we connected? Repeat the answer, not the reason. And this isn't even connected with either. So we would say, as you can see, this experience taught me, or as you can see, a professional coworker is very important to have, because our answer is what's important to have in your workplace or in a coworker. You know, a coworker should be professional. And then that's our end statement. That keeps us focused on what a lot of students lose focus on, which is the whole focus of our essay is to support our answer. And our answer is in the introduction. So now, how are we going to do this? How are we going to increase this? I know so many of you are thinking how. Maybe you guys have a couple of ideas. So the first thing that I want to do is give you the 5 steps. First, you want to relate a personal experience, because if you do, there's so much to talk about. What do I mean by that? If you're speaking generally, you have nothing to say. You know, if you're speaking generally, you're just going to go in your head, and once you run out of ideas, you're done forever. But if you relate an experience, you're going to be much better. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring in a YouTube video to give you a concept and idea of what I mean. So this is a video from a movie that I actually like. So you guys learn a little bit about that. And it's from the movie called Good Will Hunting. And I picked this because it's a really standard scene. So as you can see, this is a bar. So let's go ahead and watch it together. Here's our main character. Here's his goal, to talk to one of these women.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Hi, how are you?
All right, so a lot of you, when you think and you remember, if you remember a real experience like this, there's already so much to talk about there. Now I'm going to go back here and play that scene again. Now there's like 3 sentences here. You can say something like, I remember walking in a bar towards 2 women, you know, because we've already seen the scene. And I remember as I was walking there, I was trying to look what? Cool, normal, okay, pretending that I'm not paying attention. You know, and if you remember very well, you can even manufacture it a little bit, but you can say it was really crowded. You know, you can give the name of the bar, the background of the bar. So when you have a real thing that you're remembering, there's just an infinite amount of information that you can deliver. And then...
Oh, hello. Oh, hello.
So you see right there, what happens in that scene? You know, he kind of, you know, if you were talking about it as if you were the individual, because it's your memory, you say, when I walked up, I just stayed next to them and pretended not to notice them until they noticed me. And after they did, I said hello and they started laughing, so I broke the ice. Remember, break the ice? Break the ice means all of a sudden you have rapport, and rapport means like a relationship building. So I'm going to take out this scene. Oops. Okay, I got lost in the background. But what I want to do now is explain how, if you're speaking generally, you do not have that opportunity to go into detail. And I know what a lot of you are saying. You're going to say something along the lines of, how can I possibly remember this many details? This is an example to illustrate the idea. If you even have a concept of something that actually happened, it doesn't have to be this level of detail. The same feedback applies, and you're going to be able to say infinitely more. So without that, we're really going to consistently be struggling. So we have to make that change. So that's step 1. Got to think about a personal experience. If you're not there, you're going to be stuck in 300s forever and never really easily get a 24. You're going to have to really work hard to do it. The next thing is that when you remember experiences, you got to explain them from beginning, middle to end. You remember when we brought it, I'll bring in that YouTube video one more time. You remember when you see this? What you actually see is an experience taking place through time. And I explained not how I met the girls and then how I walked to them. First how I walked to them and then how I met them. Beginning, middle, and end. So it's a normal narration and it's easy. what happened first, second, and third. And if you don't have enough information, just walk deeper. And what I mean by that is walk your reader through the experience. You see how I actually explained everything when we watched this video together? How I walked in. Now you guys might be thinking, yeah, but how is this connected to a reason or an answer? I'm going to show you that soon with this example essay and that paragraph. But when you walk your reader through the experience, that means you are not writing for your own purpose. You're writing for my purpose. Your writing is meant to explain something to me. So if you don't illustrate everything, if you don't allow me to see and visualize what's going on, if you don't paint that picture for me, in a sense, it's a failure. Not a significant failure, but it's not really doing what you have to do as the job of the writer. You have to walk me through the experience. Give me all the details. The fourth thing is spend most of your time explaining the connection to the answer in the example. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later with the body paragraph. And the fifth thing is connected with these top three. The reader is an alien. An alien means I'm not from this planet. So don't think I know anything. You have to explain everything. The better you explain, the more you'll write, the clearer you'll be, the faster you'll get a very, very high score. Because high word count does do a great job of making up for poor spelling and poor grammar, though those things are important. Now let's go ahead and look at our 118 word paragraph together. Hope you guys are still there and energetic and following me. Very important stuff. So here, for example, when working with customers, we've already not succeeded at relating a personal experience, because who did the situation happen to? Me, right? I'm this guy for now. So this is who it happened to. Now, if it didn't happen to you, it's something that you read. It's something that you learned about. Because if you were in no way connected to this experience, it wouldn't be in your brain, right? You guys don't know what I did this morning. So there's no possible way you can talk about it. So if it's an experience in your life, there's always an I, even if you didn't directly participate in it, if you just read about it. So make it personal. Now, when working with customers, so how can we change this? I'm going to go ahead and go into this and start to modify it. So I'm going to say, for example, I remember when I worked at a fast food restaurant when I was in high school, right? Now, we all have that job experience, and if we don't have that job experience, we might be telling the story from a customer's perspective. And when you walked into a restaurant, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this. And let me go ahead and make it blue. So that way you're going to see what I changed. That's already 130 words. A rude and unprofessional worker will affect the overall experience the customer will have. So I'm not going to change everything. This is a general statement. So we tell a story with it. How do we tell a story with it? We just change it to that personal experience. So we go ahead and walk into this, and I'll say, a rude and unprofessional worker. So I'll say, one of my friends, right? One of my friends didn't really care about the job because he didn't make too much money. Okay, so now I'm telling the story, giving the explanation. See how I walk in? I don't just say one of my friends was rude. I give some background information. One of my friends didn't really care about the job because he didn't make too much money. So he was always frustrated and rude to everyone, right? One of my great friends here. So now I'm going to change this to blue to show you again what I modified, and look at our word count. It's 142 words. By doing what? By just personalizing it, by walking me through the experience, by explaining everything. For example, why was he rude? No, it's simple. He didn't like the money he made, so he was frustrated, right? Explain things. Walk me through the experience. Therefore, regardless who was the person performing that specific action, the review of that customer to a shopping experience will be negative and will backfire on the whole team. Now, this I can change into like a 300-word story, because all you're going to do is talk about a customer who came in. So let me go ahead and give the background. So remember, it's just a story through time, right? And when you make things up, a lot of you maybe don't succeed very well because you make things up in a way that's awkward. You make things up in a way that's not even connected to you. What if I made it up like this? What if I said this was the customer and these were the workers, and I changed his attitude to rude? So how can I do that? Well, we say something like, Let's see, I remember when I worked at a fast food restaurant. Okay. So I'm going to be a bit of a storyteller here, but connected with that video we just saw. One day, a man came. Oh, actually, I didn't specify whether my friend was a man or a woman. So that's, oh yeah, I did. He said he was he. So I'm going to say one day, a woman came in to the restaurant with a very friendly face. It seemed like she liked my friend and just wanted to order some food, right? That's what we saw in the video. He seemed nice. He just wanted to go meet them, but we changed it a little bit, wanted to order some food. So we're going to make my characters rude. Just a simple change. So my friend looked at her and immediately asked her what she wanted. And when she tried to be friendly to him, he asked her to leave the restaurant. Okay, now this is a bit awkward and extreme. I don't like you guys to do that too much, right? Asked her to leave the restaurant, but I just want to make a point, and I don't want to go too far into detail of this, but you get the concept and you get the idea. And already we're at 168 words. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, I didn't have an experience like that. Neither did I. But I used just my general knowledge, something that happened to me earlier today, something that just occurred. Maybe in the test center, the person was rude to you. So now you think ETS is terrible. Or maybe the person in the test center was really nice to you. So all of a sudden you think, hey, ETS, the company that makes the TOEFL, isn't so bad. So you relate that experience. Maybe you change a few things here and there. So when you don't, relating a personal experience isn't always 100% about that specific thing that happened to you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to show you guys understand now how I can change this. So in addition, when you work with someone who knows what to do, okay, so I changed professionalism a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just finish the story, and the story was, it'll affect your image, right? He asked her to leave the restaurant. So she, the customer, complained to our manager and wrote a blog post about how terrible our restaurant was. This destroyed our, well, I don't like using the same words all the time, but I'll keep it simple for now. This destroyed our restaurant's image and hurt our company. And again, this is what I changed or modified. So very simply, walking through this with you, we changed it to 169 words. All of a sudden, 169 times 2, plus the body paragraph, plus the introduction and the conclusion, now we're looking at something like a 400-word essay. And did we do anything too overwhelmingly difficult? No. What we did was we followed our strategy. Now spend most of your time explaining the connection to the answer in the example. That's what I actually did here. She complained to our manager and wrote a blog post about how terrible our restaurant was. This destroyed our restaurant's image and hurt our company. So this is 2 solid sentences. I didn't just say this hurt our image, because that's your whole focus. And if you have the ability, you can change this into 3 or 4 sentences. This destroyed our restaurant's image and hurt our company. And then you can continue by saying, I remember that after that customer put the blog post, we had fewer customers every day. Now, you don't want to make things up too much so that it reads as an awkward story. If you remember something that relates to it well, you can really tell a powerful story in this fashion. So I hope that you really see in detail, step by step, how you have to start from a good base, relating personal experiences, even if that personal experience is some YouTube video that you saw, or the TOEFL Testing Center, or the drive to the TOEFL Testing Center, or anything of that nature. There's a world of experience. You experience something every day, so start using it. Also, notice how I related things through time. First, I described my friend, the background. Then the woman came in. Then she left. Then she complained. And then I summarized how the image was destroyed overall, which was the final event. And I really did walk you through it, right? You understand exactly what took place, don't you? And spend most of your time explaining the connection. I didn't do as perfect a job in the video as I would have liked, because it would make this video a bit too long. And also, I want to give something that you're comfortable with. 2 solid sentences describing the main point within the idea of the story, but the whole story is connected to this, is really all you're looking for. And then what you want to do is remember, the reader is an alien. So explain everything to me. I don't know anything. This is a bit extreme, but I hope that this gives you the point. I hope very much that you recognize how to increase the word count of your essay and understand a little bit better how to relate your story. So, good luck. Any questions about this video, let me know.